Hello, big friends. Welcome to another episode of Acting Up with Alvaro, the mini show where I tell you what I'm watching, why I love it, and why I recommend it every single Monday. Today we're talking about The Flight Attendant. The Flight Attendant is, well, about a flight attendant who picks up somebody on her way abroad, and then she wakes up next to his dead body the next day. This flight attendant is played by Kaylee Cuoco, and saying that she's going through it during the show is an understatement. Her character's name is Cassie Bowden, and we learn from the very beginning that Cassie has a lot going on. Cassie is an alcoholic who only cares about herself and having a good time. So when Cassie wakes up next to this dead man's body, you can just imagine her reaction. What makes it worse is that she tries to clean up the crime scene, which only incriminates her even more. When she gets on a plane to go back to the States, she tries to pretend like nothing ever happened. But sure enough, the FBI is on the case. Lucky for Cassie, her best friend Ani, played by Zosha Mamet, is a top-notch lawyer in NYC where they live. She helps her as much as she can, but Cassie keeps doing the wrong things. Honestly, I almost gave up halfway through the show because I could not stand the decisions that Cassie would make. They honestly kept pissing me off. But I hung on, and I'm kind of glad I did. Throughout the show, the memory of the man that she woke up next to who was murdered just kind of is there in her mind and helps her out through the whole thing. You can kind of think of him as a ghost or an imaginary friend who's trying to help her put the pieces together and solve who killed him. It might not make much sense, but it will when you watch the show. But anyways, there's a really juicy plot twist at the end of the season that really makes you glad you hung on. I've been trying to be a little bit better of giving shows the benefit of the doubt, because honestly, some of them take a little while to get you really hooked in. So if you can watch it and try to get through Cassie's ridiculous decisions, I think you'll be glad you did. But while we're on the topic of Cassie, let's talk about Kaylee Cuoco. Now, I didn't watch a lot of The Big Bang Theory, but I know her character Penny was very popular. And you can argue this role put Kaylee on the map and kept her there for a whopping 13 years, which makes the show one of the longest running shows of all time. Now, you heard me talk about that risky area that sometimes actors find themselves in, especially when they play a very iconic role for a long period of time. Luckily for Kaylee, this has not been the case. This role of Cassie in The Flight Attendant is very different than her role as Penny in The Big Bang Theory. In the role of Cassie, while there are moments that make it hard for us to root for her, we see a side of Kaylee's talents that we're not used to seeing all that often. And that's because Cassie has to show a wide range of emotions throughout the series, many of which are not always the easiest to portray. One of the scenes that I think she shines in the most in particular is this one scene when she realizes that her relationship with her brother wasn't always the way that she thought it was. You see, in her mind, she always thought she had a great relationship with her brother growing up, but it was actually kind of miserable for him. And she was always so dismissive of him. So when she realizes that that wasn't really true, she ends up showing us this compassionate part of it where she really breaks down and tells her brother how much she appreciates him and is sorry for the way that she's been treating him. It's a really tender moment that really left me in awe of her talents. You can watch the first season on HBO Max. But that's it for this episode, friends. Take care, and I'll see you next Monday.